Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, published by Phoenix.
Gone Girl is about the disappearance of Nick Dunn's wife, Amy Dunn, and it revolves around the mystery of her disappearance as Nick and the police pretty much try to outsmart each other to get to the truth or cover up the truth. And the problem with this book is that the joy of this book is in the spoilers. So if you haven't read it, we're just going to say it's amazing. It's one of my personal favourite books. Is it one of yours?
Yeah, I'd say so.
If you haven't read it, go read it. And if you've read it, then we're going to discuss the spoilers, which are brilliant.
Yeah, you can't really discuss this book without discussing spoilers. So first things first is it's not just about Amy's potential murder, it's about her whereabouts. You're not actually sure until about halfway through.
Yeah, it's about the 50% mark.
You don't actually know where she is, you don't know if she's alive, you don't know if she's been murdered, you don't know if Nick's guilty, and
we also get her diary entries.
Yeah.
You read them and you know that something isn't right. And then you see that first one where it's Amy, the tone of her voice completely changes and you completely see what she's done, how she's done it so well, and the fact that Nick has only just figured out what's happening and he also knows that he can't prove it. I thought that was amazing.
It's very, very good. The way that Flynn sort of creates Amy and
the two Amys,
the mystery around it is really, really good. Sort of, you read the first half of the novel and you're pretty much convinced
he's killed his wife.
By this point in the novel, you have very little sympathy for him. It's his wedding anniversary, and instead of being with his wife, he's in the pub that him and his sister own, drinking. He's been having an affair for a year with one of his students, who he actually sleeps with after his wife has disappeared. Yeah. You have a pretty low opinion of him at this point. And then suddenly, halfway through, it just completely switches and you realise how wonderful and Machiavellian Amy is. She is fantastic. She's one of my favourite characters I've ever read.
I agree.
I think she's brilliant. It's such a good twist because you just don't expect it.
And then you read it and like one of the first things she says is like, do you think I'm going to let him destroy me, take my money and end up happy in there? No fucking way. And you realise you're dealing with a woman that doesn't take any shit from anyone. And that's amazing.
Yeah. I think it's worth saying as well is that it's very good in its cast of supporting characters as well as Nick and Amy. I mean, Amy, as we've already said, we're big fans of. She's brilliant. Nick, although you don't like him,
he is a complete dick.
He is perfect as like the sort of he sort of plays himself as sort of like the put upon.
Yeah, he's
man.
got such social anxiety that he can be manipulated to look nothing but guilty.
But you have like the supporting cast, sort of. You have his sister,
Margot
is always there for him. Is always going to be there for him. But she knows her brother's a bit of a twat, and she's not afraid to say that to him. You have one of their next door neighbours, who is the perfect embodiment of sort of small town.
Oh God, what's her name?
Of sort of the small town USA character. Sort of, she's your archetypal nosy neighbour.
Yeah.
Sort of.
The best thing is that when you realise that all the information she's got is purposely planted there to be revealed.
Yeah.
I was like,
I think possibly one of my favourite bits is Amy's neighbour is pregnant, and one of the big plot points is that
a reveal of Amy's pregnancy.
Amy has written this in her diaries that she's pregnant, but Nick hasn't actually been told. And Amy later reveals that she actually stole her neighbour's wee and took it to the doctor in order to get obviously a false positive that she was pregnant. And it's just brilliant.
It's such a great analysis of society as well, because she says as one thing America loves, it's pregnant women. And like just the idea that Amy is... It doesn't feel like a plot. It feels like Amy has looked at where she is and how she can use it to completely destroy Nick Dunn.
I think what Flynn does really, really well is sort of that analogy on the media that portrayal. I mean, it is perfect. Sort of everything from sort of the way in which they portray Nick at the beginning, the fact that he does some of the stupid things he does, like for example, he has a photo taken with one of the women in the town.
And he smiles.
And he smiles in it, and they sort of immediately attack him for having the audacity to smile while his wife is missing. Every little thing that she does sort of... It makes you doubt Nick. It makes you doubt whether he's telling the truth. But it's a very, very clever and clear portrayal of actually how the media completely can warp your idea of guilt.
Yeah. It's also a great example of marriage, because the fact that he smiles is the fact that she knows he's going to do it.
Yeah.
Is that she thinks that if she puts him in this public situation, he's going to make an ass of himself because he's such a awkward person. Yeah. She also completely predicts his violence and aggression towards women, and the fact, and she can't have predicted it, but the fact that he gets a female investigator who he does think lots of father-like thoughts, as he put it, towards her, I think is brilliant.
Yeah, I think there's some really good sort of aspects that she uses. One of my favourite characters in there is Nick's lawyer. Very early on,
Tannenbolt.
He's advised not to take a lawyer, but then when he does pick a lawyer, he goes for sort of
the one that gets off the wife killers.
Yeah, the person he picks is the one who gets people off of their crimes.
Yeah, I just looked it up. The first words of the Amy reveal is, "I'm so much happier now that I'm dead, technically missing." Ah. Oh, sorry, Tannenbolt.
Tannenbolt is an excellent sort of portrayal of that. In some respects, like the American justice system.
Yeah,
because,
you're judged before you're judged.
It's sort of actually the media have already made a decision about Nick's guilt before he's even been technically charged with a crime. They don't even have a body. They don't even know. As later finds out, she's not even dead, and yet, as far as everyone else is concerned, he's guilty as sin. And but then actually this idea that even though you could be completely guilty of sin in the media's eyes, you could still have this lawyer who would
defend you
regardless and would potentially get you off.
Oh yeah, but he makes the money out of it. It was like, what, $100,000 retainer?
Yeah.
It's like, win or lose, he's getting paid.
Yeah, it is very, very clever in that sense.
I think, what do we think of the actual writing? Not the actual plotting, because we're both going to praise that all day, but the actual, like, prose and characterisation.
I think the prose and the characterisation is really good. Particularly for most of it's done in the first person.
Yeah.
So you've got
the voices are very distinct.
Yeah, you have Amy's sort of you have three different voices telling you the story.
And they play as very separate people. You have Nick, who is very much awkward, and as you said, it feels very put upon by everything ever. And then you've got Diary Amy, who is very wafy, very
I just want to make my husband happy. Is that so wrong?
Yes. And then you get venomous, bitchy, evil Amy.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things about venomous Amy is her parents, because it's something that's not always discussed with the novel. It's sort of people tend to focus on her hatred towards Nick.
Yeah.
But actually, there is a really unhappy parent-child relationship there.
It's one of the few things that didn't get put in the movie is her aggression towards her parents.
Yeah, and it's a shame they missed out because it is very, very clear. Because
it's a very small part, but there are some just paragraphs that are just dripping with disdain.
The she sort of spent her entire life being compared to this fictional amazing
version of her.
Amy, who, like, if she learnt to play violin to grade 4, amazing Amy would learn it to grade 5, and it's always sort of played on, and she keeps.
Yeah, it gave her such a complex, and it was what they said that, like, at this point in her life, before Amy was engaged, amazing Amy was already married.
Yeah.
I think she had like kids or something.
Yeah, and also amazing Amy sort of, although it was sort of. That's part of the thing that complicates her life, because actually it's her parents' sort of success, but then ultimately their downfall, because they then financially are unable to support themselves based on the money they're making from amazing Amy. They have to borrow. They have to essentially take back the money that they've given to her, and she's not happy about it.
But she feels she has to say yes.
She feels she has to say yes,
even though she says that you basically sold my childhood.
Yeah, so there's a lot of sort of venom towards her parents. And I think it's, in some respects, it's a shame that that's missed out from the film, because it can come across as a very sort of hateful towards her husband. But Amy has disdain for everybody.
Oh yeah.
She doesn't have any sort of time for anybody. She sort of.
But there is an actual education of Amy done in this book as well, because while we agree that she was amazing, pun intended, as setting up her husband and getting away with it, she also doesn't. Things happen to her that she can't predict, but knows exactly how to get out of.
Yeah.
The one thing she never can get out of is the fact that she is violently attacked and robbed. I think it drives her a little bit harder at the end to do things that she otherwise wouldn't, because I don't think Amazing Amy from the beginning of the book would have ever killed someone.
No, probably not.
I think that the way that she gets out of being almost held hostage by Desi, like it's like the most glamorous method of being held hostage ever. Like, stay in my lovely pool house with all my money and all these things that I can get you on like Sky Plus. But the fact that I think she channels her aggression from being attacked into attacking, and I think that by the end of it, she is even much more dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. Particularly with like the ending when you actually find out that she is pregnant and that there's going to be a child introduced into that situation, because you just don't know what that's going to do to her.
And the fact that she is schemed enough ahead that she has kept his sperm.
But also her relationship with her own parents is horrific. So, like, what kind of a parent is she?
I feel like they'd either destroy the baby or that baby would be like, would rule the world. Don't you think?
Possibly,
I mean, Amy is the master manipulator of everything.
See, but I think...
But try to imagine her raising and manipulating that child.
We discussed this before. It doesn't set up the good woman.
Oh, yeah.
It completely... Amy can be anything.
Yeah.
There is no sort of sense of, oh, she's the vicious ex, she's the vicious harpy, or, oh, the poor pregnant lady, the put on. All of these, she manipulates all of those tropes that she's given to the best of her ability.
I think Gillian Flynn said in an interview that her Gone Girl was her response to the idea that women are inherently good.
Yeah, and I think it's perfect in that.
Oh, yeah.
But then it's also the thing of actually women being inherently bad as well, because actually she sort of, even when she's being bad, there are still people doing bad things to her, like Desi, for example.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, being held hostage in a really lovely apartment, but at the same time, she is still being held hostage.
Yeah.
Like, there's still no part of that that's kind of
Amy with a lack of freedom is a feral cat in a corner.
Yeah, but she does what she has to do to get out of that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you can't, in some respects, you kind of might not necessarily like her methods or agree with her methods.
Oh, they work.
But you can kind of understand where she's coming from with it.
Well, I don't think she should have murdered someone, but you can understand that she needs to keep her cover.
Yeah,
she's
been backed into a corner and she fights her way out.
She can't just be like, oh, well, I did kind of fake my death and frame my husband, but I'm back now. Like, she has to keep the lie going, and if anyone can do that, it's Amy.
Yeah. I think it's quite good as well, is that the sense that everybody knows that they've been screwed, but nobody can prove it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Boney, the detective, can't prove it. Margot can't prove it. Nick can't prove it. There is sort of nothing.
Yeah, she still wins. The fact that she goes through such a losing streak, you know, she gets robbed, she gets beaten, she has to sleep in her car, and then she has to resort to going to Desi, who is just going to keep her essentially hostage to become his like ideal girlfriend, and then she turns all that around to still win.
Yeah.
It's like she's like the unputdownable, isn't she?
Yeah, she is kind of brilliant.
Do you think they'll ever write a sequel?
It's weird to sit here and be like, oh, she's brilliant, given all that she does.
Oh,
but
yeah,
you can't help but have a massive amount of respect and admiration
for
her.
she's a twisted bitch. But you got to be like, if anyone deserves the respect...
Yeah, it's got to be her.
Do you think they'd ever write a sequel?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I know it has been discussed and they've sort of said that she could be, but I really, really hope she doesn't, because I think it works so well. And leaving it with that kind of awful ending, it does kind of...
Oh, everyone complains about the ending. I was like, can't create this super capable woman and have her fail.
No.
Because it's as much debate as it is, it's a feminist book.
Yeah.
It's about a woman getting what she wants and treading on anyone, any way she wants to get it. And it includes the police, her husband, the media. It's like she's going to do anything and she is amazingly capable to do it.
Yeah.
The fact that she's not doing it for good reasons is irrelevant. No. She's an amazingly capable woman, and I love that. Yeah,
there's no sort of attempt to make her smaller or sort of...
Oh, yeah. There's no Amy done Defence League. Everyone knows that she's doing awful things in awful ways, often by most the awful means possible. But everyone's got... I think you've got to respect the fact that she is so capable to do such bad things.
Yeah, I can't actually remember any book I've ever read where the woman is that capable of doing whatever she wants to do. There's no... She doesn't apologise for what she does.
Oh, no.
She kind of does what she does to get what she wants. And it works, because at the end, one of the things that is possibly like one of the most twisted parts of the novel is the fact that actually after she pretends to kill herself, she has every intention of then killing herself, because she can't see the point in sort of
building herself back up
in
again.
Building herself back
even
up
though
again.
she can.
She's more than capable of, but she just doesn't really want to. She just doesn't think there's any point of it. She's done with it.
And then she has a few, I think it's literally about a week of freedom. She's like, no, I'm going to do what I want.
And then she sort of like changes her mind on that. But I think it's the way that it sort of then takes the fact that she then ends up back with Nick. I think that's perfect, because I think it's now the chance.
Something that doesn't really get discussed is the idea that Nick isn't as capable of Amy, but he has the potential, and she brings that out of him.
Yeah.
The way that he does the interview and literally turns public aggression into public affection with, like, I think it was like a 60-minute interview.
Yeah.
That's Amy-esque, and that the idea that he can do that shows that it kind of shows you what Amy sees in him.
Yeah. You can you see why they, in a really twisted way, they are kind of the perfect couple for each other, and they sort of, I would say balance each other out, but they don't, because they make each other like go insane. But they do sort of, their insanity.
They mesh.
They mesh well in their slight madness.
I don't want a sequel, but I would read the hell out of a sequel.
Yeah, I think, I would sit here and go I wouldn't, but I know darn well I would. So yeah, I would read a sequel, but I hope they don't, because I think the ending is brilliant. I think the way it's just sort of...
It makes me really want to read more Gillian Flynn, because I think if she's seen that this is so successful, she must obviously have more characters like this in her, and I'd love to see them come out.
Just more Amy's hiding up her sleeve.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Just like the Russian doll, but Amy's. I'd read all the books.
Yeah, definitely. So, would you recommend it?
Oh, yeah.
Would you read it again?
Oh, yeah, I'd definitely read it again. I mean, I don't think that I would ever... It's one of those... You know how people reread Lord of the Rings, like, every Christmas? Like, I think this might be that book for me.
Of all the things to reread at Christmas.
What's more festive than someone who knows exactly what to do about family and how to make them better? You've reread it once already, haven't you?
Yes. I was a bit taken with it. I think it blindsides you.
Oh, yeah.
It's not at all. I read thrillers. I read those sorts of novels quite regularly. It's nothing sort of...
It's a very self-aware book. Not in just, like, the media, but she's very self-aware of what thrillers do.
Yeah.
And people who read thrillers get to the 50% mark and they go, right, more red herrings.
Yeah.
And then you get, like, yeah, I did it all. I set it all up. More. Like, that's just such a great thing, because you take all these tropes, you not only turn them on their head, but like bash them on the ground and then be like, look what I'm doing.
You just sort of throw them all over the shop and just go, you know what, sod them, don't need them, going to do what I want to do.
Like, please click on the annotation on the screen to read our written review. It covers some aspects we might have forgot to mention. It also covers both of our perspectives without us interrupting each other, as we tend to do. And please like and subscribe this video if you'd like to see more. We are uploading videos throughout the weekday and possibly at the weekends as well. And please tune in again tomorrow for another video.
You want that sound effect at the end, so I do you slapping a book closed?